Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. I can help you out. We're all part of the same team. A man who can fly. This is unprecedented. Don't worry about it, Bruce. Superman, away! Wow, what a guy. Talk about an upstanding citizen. Wait, what did he just call me?
Hello my friends and welcome back to Player Display. As I've noted in the past few videos, I got a really big pile of loot in the mail from BBTS, and with that comes the standard edition of the collector's edition Superman, as portrayed by Christopher Reeve from the 1978 Superman movie from McFarlane. That's a lot of words to describe just one toy over here. But, of course, this timeline has been a little bit in reverse. I feel like I've been collecting them out of order. First, I got the comic version from Page Punchers. Then I got the Platinum because my buddy First Order Films helped me out. And now here we are at the default Superman, finally. So I have all three of them. I was only expecting to get one at the very least, but I wound up getting all three Christopher Reeve Supermen. Would it be Superman plural? I guess so. That McFarlane has to offer. So that being said, here's a standard edition, and we're going to review this figure, but I'm actually going to make this a little quick because it's ultimately the same figure as the Platinum, just with a few minor differences here and there. So we're not going to go over articulation. We're going to barely go over the box, and it really just comes down to the color and the head sculpts, and that's about it. I was even thinking about doing a lightning review for this guy, but there is one additional step that I wanted to put in for this figure, so I decided that a fully devoted video for this figure would be in order. So all that being said, let's start off with packaging. Here are the boxes for the two Collector's Edition Supermen. We got the Platinum on the left, and we got the Standard on the right. As you can expect, these boxes are exactly the same, except for two things. First of all, this box has been gutted. It doesn't have the whole Green Lantern comic panel motif in the back with the plastic bubble in there, so ignore that, but that would otherwise be identical. And the last difference being, of course, the Platinum sticker. Everything else here is exactly the same. Got DC Multiverse, you got the chrome flourishings throughout. You got the trim on the back, exact same portrait of Christopher Reeve. Would have been nice if they did the evil version from Superman 3 on the Platinum one. That being said, that's it for boxes. I mean, it's, again, just the same old thing. But still a good presentation. So here's Christopher Reeve out of the packaging once again, and we're going to review him faster than a speeding bullet because, again, we've pretty much looked at this figure before, just with a different color palette and different head sculpts. But even the head sculpts are identical, but even then the paint is just swapped a little bit in those places, but we'll look at those a little later. So anyways, we'll just do a standard review like we do with anything else. First, here is the default head sculpt. Again, we saw this already with the Platinum Edition, but that time it had the laser vision over here. Worth mentioning now, I did hit up the Platinum Edition and the comic version with dull coat, so that's why there's a little less of a shine on these. So if you want to see me doing that, then I did do a lightning mod on that on my channel as well. That being said, focusing again on this main figure, this time the default Christopher Reeve head sculpt is the main head sculpt for this particular standard collector's edition. And it's tough for me to say whether it's good or not because, as you already know, if you've been on this channel, I already have a third-party head sculpt from China that is superior to any of the standard head sculpts that they're producing now. So obviously what I'll do at the end of this video is do a head swap and see what that looks like. But as for this head sculpt on its own merits, it still looks pretty good. The likeness is alright, not perfect I don't think, but it's there. It's got the blue eyes, it's got a little curl on the top of the hair, and it looks like there's a slight dry brush on the hair as well, maybe a very, very faint blue. I can't quite tell. Either that or the light is just hitting it really nicely. I think it's just the light, but looks very good regardless. As for the face itself, it's close. I mean, it's enough, but yeah, I'm going to have to give this one some thought. Not going to matter because I'll be swapping it out anyways, but it's serviceable. I think it does the job. As for the rest of the suit, it's literally the Platinum Edition, except in the classic colors, as opposed to the darker colors that we saw in Superman 3 when he took a turn for the worse. This time we have the classic 78 colors with the bright blue, red, and yellow sprinkled throughout. And it's exactly what you expect. You got the Superman logo emblazoned on the front, though once again, I do need to comment on a little gripe. That is the overall glossiness of this figure, which I intend to fix a little bit on my own time with the same dull coat tutorial that I had before. Off to the back, you have a soft goods cape. Again, same thing as a platinum, but this time a little brighter. On the other one, it was darker. And of course, once again, you have the Superman logo emblazoned in the center, which is great. And you got your wiring, so you can have it flowing in the breeze or doing whatever you like. I think I might have neglected to mention the height of this cape in the last video. If I am wrong about that, then here we go again. I like the height of it. It's just below the knee, as you can see right there, which is accurate to what we saw in the film. Didn't go all the way down to his feet, so I do appreciate that attention. They could have just made a standard long cape and it would have looked really out of place, but it would have been acceptable enough. But I'm glad that they did go for the right length this time, as opposed to the Adam West Batman. So it is refreshing that they got the height correct on this Christopher Reeve. The arms looks good. I mean, it's all done in blue and everything, although it has the same issue as the other two Chris Reeve Supermen had, being that they have that end sculpt at the bottom of the wrist, but when you get to the wrist joint, it is colored in the same blue as the bodysuit, which isn't too accurate when you have the fist right on top of that. Again, doesn't bug me a whole ton, but for others it certainly does. I've noticed on other reviews on YouTube, so yeah, that's definitely something that they could have course corrected on, but it's not the worst thing for me. Off to the diaper over here. Again, say it with me now. The same thing as the platinum version, just with the red and the yellow belt, which is fine. Got your blue legs and red boots. I almost said blue boots. I'm going colorblind. But that's it. There's nothing else to talk about with this figure. Again, it's identical to what we've seen before, just the proper colors as we see him in all 4 movies, excluding from his evil iteration. Accessories are also exactly the same as we saw in the other 2 figures. We have the exact same assortment of hands, got a grip, 2 additional grips, a pointy finger, flight hands, an open hand, and a key holding hand for the Fortress of Solitude. So if you get all 3 versions of this figure as I do, then you're going to get exactly 3 copies of this entire hand set. I mean, not the worst thing. There's nothing wrong with having extra hands. Of course, you can use them for your figures, do a lot of swapping and changing and all of that, or you can use them on customs, which is always good. But that being said, since we got 3 iterations of basically the exact same character, it would have been nice if we had more specific hand gestures based on what Superman we're looking at. Like, for example, I don't mind this crystal at all. In fact, I really love this piece, and exclusivity is certainly a bother. But being that this isn't an essential thing to have with a Superman, I wouldn't have minded if this was part of the Platinum exclusively. That wouldn't have been too much skin off my teeth, but you know what I mean. They could have limited it a little bit. I know I'm being a little hypocritical because I hate exclusivity so much, but this would have been a nice chance for them to include exclusive hands, which each of the different 3 Supermen, depending on who they were. Or another thing they could have done is incorporate less hands with a standard Superman and give him what a lot of people have been suggesting, which is that kryptonite necklace that Lex Luthor throws on him. So that's something that they could have done that I think would be really neat. And the last thing we got over here is an alternate head sculpt, which we have seen before as the Platinum on the Platinum figure, but that was his default head sculpt at that time. So let's bring in the evil Superman over here, and we will do a bit of a comparison. In fact, we'll push on in, do a little difference. Remember, this one was hit with dual coat, so this is going to have a slight shine to it, but this one came from the standard. This is the platinum. From what I can tell, they are exactly identical sculpt-wise and paint-wise. I was thinking maybe one would have more heavy stubble than the other and might be better than the other, but you could really go either way and you wouldn't notice the difference. So this head sculpt, at least for me, since I owned all 3, kind of useless, but then again, it kind of makes me want to go back to the Platinum over here, where his alternate head sculpt was the laser vision one, as I just pulled out before. Would have been made more sense if the standard edition came with these 2 head sculpts, and then we have the Platinum over here with his head sculpt, which is fine, in fact, great, and then have one that's screaming or has gritted teeth or something like that, instead of an other head sculpt that's not supposed to belong to this version of Superman. So that's really my only complaint when you have all 3. You could have more variety in the accessories department, instead of just having the exact same thing mirrored over so many times. That being said, they don't suck. Really good hand options, and still nice to have some extra heads for the fodder bin, so not a big deal. Almost forgot to mention the basic Lame Jane accessories. First, we have the trading card. Again, exact same. We got platinum on the left, standard on the right. Flip them around. exact same bios. Once more, could have benefited with a Superman 3 likeness. I think that would have been fantastic. So what I usually do is I have a card trading book where I put all my McFarlane cards into. What I'll do is I'll have one that's on its own, then I'll have one where I'll cut out the platinum label and slip it inside with the card. So I guess it could go with either card. I mean, they're exact copies, so there's nothing that distinguishes them, but that label will do me a service in my little collector's book. And then the last thing we have here is, of course, a flight stand, because any Superman character or Kryptonian of the like has to have one. And once again, got the DC logo down there, got a crab claw at the top, and this one feels very sturdy. I remember the earlier ones being a tad loosey-goosey, but now it seems like they got the right tension going on, which is very, very good. Now let's just move straight into size comparisons, because once again, all the articulation on the main figure is exactly the same as the Platinum. Why do it all over again? If you want a more extensive look at articulation, check out the review on the Platinum one. Again, weird how I got that one first, but here we are. So here's, well, the friggin' Platinum one, if you're not sick of me talking about him yet, besides the standard one that we're reviewing today, and then also the Page Punchers one. The Platinum and the Standard are naturally the same height. As for the Page Punchers one, it's a little bit taller because it does have a different neck rig and torso. Even the arms are different. You can see just how wide the joints are in comparison to the standard one over here. Much more bulky. You can see the little ratchet rivets in there, so that's really interesting. And yeah, I'm happy to have all three. For a few more super comparisons, here he is next to the NECA Superman, which is severely undersized, with that custom third-party head I was talking about before, which I will plant onto this guy in just a few moments. And on the right, I have, once again, my custom Clark Kent. Somebody was asking, actually, how I made this figure, so I will tell you now, if in case anyone else was curious. It is the Schumacher or Batman Forever Two-Face body with a custom head sculpt off of eBay, along with two hands from the Henry Cavill Superman. Doesn't matter which variant it is. It can be the Justice League one or the one from the Doomsday and Superman 2-pack. Either one will be good, as long as it's a default hands and not the interchangeable ones that we got in the 2-pack. So that means you gotta have him with the fist and with the open, which is fine by me. He's a good pedestrian figure, you know what I mean? To wrap things up, depending on which way you swing, we have two Batmen, both with various mods, that's why they look a little different. We have Adam West, and we have Michael Keaton. And Christopher Reeve is suitably taller than both of them. I think these two guys are average height, but Reeve was taller than the average dude, so that makes perfect sense. I think it checks out. Not going to bring out a ruler to pinpoint it, but that's what we're working with, and I think it's just fine. But to wrap things up here, we also have Star Wars Black Series, Quash, and Mechamuck.
You know what? I'm starting to believe that a man really can fly, but can he teach me how?
Well, I suggest that you eat right, respect your parents, and support your fellow Americans.
Wow, it's really that simple?
Right you are, buddy. Why don't you think about it for a while?
Wow, what a guy. This isn't even a bit, he's just really nice.
Oh, did I miss something over here?
Wow, yeah, that super guy was here. Oh, I wish you could have seen him.
Now, as you can suspect, this is the end of the review, but there's one more thing that I wanted to do. I want to take this head sculpt and drop it onto this body. This head might be a little bit on the small side, but I gotta know, will it be better than this one over here? Holy smokes, I think we're cooking with oil here. It's not exactly perfect. I think I need to shave down the neck and lower the peg on the inside a little bit. After I do that, though, I think this is it. I think this is exactly what we need. And a dual coat on the base body. So I'm going to do that on my own time. But that being said, that basically concludes this review. If you want to get a head sculpt like this, check around eBay. There's several different versions of it. But this is the route to go. I think you need a third-party head sculpt for Christopher Reeve specifically. So much better than this one. Again, I said I had a bias against this head sculpt. It's because I've had this one for about a year now. So yeah, I have no use for this anymore. Maybe I'll use it for a custom. I don't know, maybe we'll put it on the NECA body. See how that looks? A little short there. We'll find a use for this body. I'm not sure. If you got any suggestions, let me know in the comments, and maybe I could throw something together. But for now, this is my Chris Reeve Superman. Off to the modding table, but before I do that, if you enjoyed this little review and part ways modding tutorial, then please, as per usual, be sure to
Like, comment,
ring the bell to be notified of our latest arrivals. And subscribe.
Yeah, hi, Mechabug here. If you want to see more from Pod Guy, then please be sure to check out the Pod Plays channel down in the description for some Let's Plays. And if you want to support the channel a bit too, you also got the Pod Patreon, which is down in the description as well. See you around, folks!
Thank you guys very much for watching. Rock on, and I will see you all later.